there, I'm Clarence Waldron. Welcome back to another Black Muse as we continue celebrating Black Music Month. But as you know, we would not have a complete month without a show on the blues. Tonight's guest is the legendary harmonica player and singer, Mr. Billy Branch. He is a Blues Hall of Famer and three-time Grammy Award nominee. He is also the opening performer of the Chicago Blues Festival on June 5th. So let's please welcome Mr. Billy Branch.
Hey, everybody. All
Hey
right.
there. All right. Well, we're glad that you're here. I'm very happy to see you. Let's start at the top. You are the opening night performer at the Chicago Blues Festival on June 5th. That's a great honor. What can we expect? I know you'll be with your band as well. Talk about that opening night performance.
Well, we're excited about it. Opening up for the legendary Bobby Rush, and we will be debuting some songs from our forthcoming album, which we're also very excited about, which is entitled "The Blues Is My Biography," and this album we've been working on for quite some time. It contains 11 songs. Um, Four of them are social commentary, and I have written and or co-written all but one song. We do one cover of Lou Rawls's iconic "Dead End Street," and also featuring the youth choir from that Howard Sandifer has so graciously made available to us. Um, so we're looking we've got, in addition to our band, we've got three background singers, three horns, and then special guest Ronnie Baker Brooks, who's I call him my little brother. And so for the finale, we will have 21 people on stage.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you mentioned that you're introducing a new song, well, several new songs, but talk to me about Begging for Change with the Chicago West Community Music Center students, the ones that Howard hooked you up with. Talk about that song.
Yeah, well, Begging for Change was, I had an idea for this song probably going a little bit over 3 years ago. And I had started writing it. I had a verse or two, and I brought Ronnie Baker Brooks, who's the son of the late, great Lonnie Brooks. Uh, I invited him to collaborate with me. So we shared the verses on that. And he was largely responsible for the current arrangement that we have. And we feel that this song may have the capacity to be a global anthem.
Mm.
It speaks to the times, and it certainly speaks to the current political situation globally, because frankly, the world is people all around the world are begging for change. They're feeling like their governments have failed them, and then figuratively and literally. I mean, as we all know, every time we step out in public and try to enter a venue, whether it be a grocery store or any business, there's always somebody there begging for change.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Well, I know the students are thrilled to share the stage with the legendary Billy Branch. That's a nice gift that you're giving them.
Well, I welcome this opportunity. I've taught my blues in schools program since 1978, and I've uh, engaged students not only here in the city of Chicago, but around the country and around the world. I mean, I've taught blues youth in the Andes Mountains of Ecuador in Spanish in Jalapa, Veracruz. I did a 2-week residency. done in Antwerp, Belgium, a 2 week residency. And so I've always enjoyed working with the youth.
Got it. Got a tough question for you. Um, how would you define the blues? What is the blues? I know that's
Well,
hard.
well, I've had that question asked so many times, as you can imagine, over the
Mm,
years. And right now, I can give you several answers. Um, the title of my forthcoming album, "The Blues is My Biography," and as of in recent years, I've been referring to it as the soundtrack of African American existence in this country. Because, as you know, from our arrival into this present date right now, we have been faced with circumstances which we call the blues. It's never stopped. Willie Dixon, who I had the wonderful privilege of being his harmonica player for 6 years, defined the blues as the facts of life. And he also went a step further and says the blues is the fruits. I'm sorry, the blues are the roots, and all of the rest of America's music are the fruits. So it's the roots of America's music, and it is the facts of life. And if I might add, I've come to understand that the blues is the most universal music that exists because if you take for classical or jazz, for example, you have a select audience. A lot of people can't quite relate to that. It's a little bit, sometimes a little bit too mental, too deep for them. And of course, hip hop and rap is a certain age denomination. But playing the blues all over the world, even when they cannot understand the lyrics, people respond immediately. I've been on jazz concerts and jazz co-billed with jazz bands and jazz orchestras. And while people would enjoy these artists, when it came time for the blues to come in, you saw an elevated reaction because you don't have to think about it. A lot of times classical jazz, well, what are they really trying to say here? Especially if you go into like bebop or avant-garde jazz and classical, a lot of times is a select audience as well. But the blues, everyone can relate to. It's only music you can say you have. You can't say, how you feeling today? I got the jazz today. I got the classical. But everybody gets the blues.
yes, indeed. Yes. All right, let's go back. Let's go back. Who inspired your love of the harmonica? What inspired you to pick up that instrument? Because you could have picked up any other instrument, but somehow what drew you to the harmonica?
Well, that's an interesting question because I can only say that it was um, destiny. When I was about 10 or 11 years old, I walked into Woolworths, which I'm sure you know, but a lot of people don't know. Woolworths was the five and dime store back in the day. Um, there was a glass case and it had harmonicas in it. I'd never seen anybody play one, never heard anyone play one live, but a voice inside me, I looked at it and I said, I can play that. And I asked the clerk how much it was. He said $1. I happened to have $1. And as soon as I put it in my mouth, I could play any folk melody or Christmas carol I could think of immediately.
Wow.
And I kept that harmonica in, I was born here in Chicago, but we moved to LA when I was about 5, came back here to return to engage in studies at University of Illinois. And prior to the classes starting, there was an announcement either on the radio or the newspaper about free festival. Well, at that point, I'm going to tell you honestly, I didn't know, I'd never heard blues before, never heard live blues. In my mind, I didn't like the blues. I was a 17-year-old black teenager right from LA. I never heard blues on the radio. But on the fateful date of August 30th, 1969, in Grant Park, when the band shell was on Roosevelt in Michigan, there took place arguably the greatest blues festival in history. And I'll just name some of the names were Junior Wells, Buddy Guy, Big Mama Thornton, John Lee Hooker, Sleepy John Estes, Bo Diddley, Muddy Waters, Homesick James, Johnny Littlejohn. There was like 40 legendary names. This festival was produced by Willie Dixon
Oh,
and Murphy Dunn, who was the son of the the elder Mayor Daley's political ally George Dunn. And
mm,
I think it was an effort to kind of wipe the slate clean from 1968 Democratic Convention. This is the first time a free festival of that ilk or magnitude had ever been produced free in Grand Park. So I was blown away. Now, the only reason I know who played was because the Sun Times writer Jeff Johnson wrote an article. This was the first day Billy Branch heard the blues. I couldn't have told you who I listened to, but I had no idea. But I tell you, it was a life-changing moment to the
mm.
extent that 7 years later, after my first day of hearing the blues, I became Willie Dixon's harmonica player.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, Willie Dixon, what else did you learn from him? Because I mean, he was there
Oh,
so much. What did you learn from him, do you
oh,
think?
I learned Willie Dixon was the what I would call the blues philosopher. He spoke, ate, lived, slept the blues all the time. He was preaching. Willie Dixon was acutely aware of the value of the blues as our cultural heritage. And he was always preaching that. And I think that is part of what he instilled in me that um, part of my inspiration and motivation to spread the gospel, so to speak, to children and youth and adults as well. Because, he emphasized how important the blues was, uh, having been invented by African Americans, the foundation of all of America's music, including country western. A lot of people don't know. I have a song that will premiere at the festival called "If You Don't Love the Blues, You Got a Hole in Your Soul." And uh, matter of fact, there's a line that refers to a blues performer whose name was T-Tot, and he taught the father of country music how to play guitar, Hank Williams.
Mm.
So you've got that direct influence. But Willie um, just instilled in me just how important the blues was as a cultural bedrock for us as African Americans, something to be proud of, which, of course, historically, a lot of times we were ashamed of the blues. I've heard stories of when people would have company and they would hide their blues records, and of course, you're familiar with it being called devil's music. There's always that controversy between the church and the blues. And many of the blues guys that I've known have told I've heard many stories about they'd have to sneak and hide playing their guitar or their harmonica or face a whooping because their mom and daddy said, "Don't you be playing that devil's music up in here," you know. But so it was through Willie Dixon that I came to understand the value and the importance of the blues. And unfortunately, sadly, we as African Americans have kind of forsaken that precious gift because we are the least likely to be in the audience when the blues is performed. And at this point, we're the least likely to be on stage when the blues is performed. But I guess sometimes I feel kind of like a crusader for the blues because it is more important than is generally perceived. Because when they have the awards, the BET awards, the NAACP, NAACP awards, the Grammys, the all the musical, the blues is never even mentioned.
Hmm.
Yet it gave birth to all of the other
Oh,
genres,
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
I mean, there's used to was often engaged in a debate. What came first, gospel or the blues? Well, the father of modern gospel, Thomas Dorsey, started out as a blues singer, Georgia Tom Dorsey.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
then, if you want to take it further, we all well know that music it was an essential, still is essential part of African culture. So even though those slaves on those ships may be separated into different tribes so that they couldn't communicate, but you can bet they were probably moaning and singing in whatever tongue, whatever language, whatever dialect, it was the blues. It
Right.
was the blues.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you just sort of said it, you don't see as many black people in the audience as you would like. Are you going to continue to push that or hope for that at this stage
Well,
of the game? Are you hopeful?
I am. I'm hopeful now because what's happening, we're having a small renaissance, so to speak, of young, very highly talented young African American artists entering the fold right now. Kingfish is the number one out of Mississippi, but you have other one. There's D.K. Harrell. There's a young prodigy that I've had a hand in somewhat mentoring. I'm not going to say that I taught him, but he's only 18. He's a musical encyclopedia, not of just the blues of all genres. And he is now completely fluent in guitar and harmonica. And he'll
Hmm.
be um, featured on the main stage as Chicago Blues Festival and on Rose's Lounge stage as well. But there's quite a few right now. I can't name them all, but quite a few young black folk they are starting to get it. And my feeling is that they will be the vehicle to draw in more of the black youth.
Got it. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, let's go to your college days. I was surprised to learn that you were a political science major at the
Mm-hmm.
University of Illinois at Chicago. I sort of felt that you would major in music something, but no. Go ahead.
This was not my plan. Again, I didn't know anything about blues till August 30th, 1969.
69. Yes. Yeah.
My plan was possibly to go to law school and become a lawyer. Uh,
Hmm.
but in the interim, uh, while acquiring my political science degree, I found myself at Circle Campus at day and blues clubs at night.
Okay.
And I was like I was addicted. You could find, I'd be out there by myself, sometimes catching the L to the west side, coming home 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And I was just determined to learn this wonderful art form of blues harmonica. As the years transpired, I had the fortune of learning firsthand from the greats, Junior Wells, James Cotton, Carrie Bell, Big Walter Horton, One Arm John Rencher, Beyond Big Leon Brooks, Good Rockin' Charles, and I could name probably a dozen more. And when I say learn, it wasn't like they sat down and taught me. I learned by them blowing me off the stage or cutting my head
Mm.
as we use. That's how I learned. And sadly, all of those giants have passed away, and so many more artists that I had the fortune to have worked with, recorded with, and toured with. They're all but gone.
Mm.
And to me, that is one of the most tragic aspects of blues in Chicago. Chicago being the blues capital. Of course, the blues began in the South, but most of the major uh, the bluesmen and women that became stars settled here in Chicago. Of course, Chess Records and Jimmy Reed. You had VJ Records, but we had Record Row. We had so many record labels, and I got to play with those guys. I got to play with the guys who was Little Walter's band, man. Little Walter was unparalleled. He was the Charlie Parker and John Coltrane of blues harmonica. I got to play with his band whenever I was, whenever I had the opportunity. Yeah.
Wow. Now, you were inducted into the Blues Hall of Fame and you received 3 Grammy Award nominations. Tell us
Yes.
about those honors. What did they mean to you?
Well, I mean, it's always nice to be recognized, but I don't put a lot of weight in these kind of honors. I mean, Grammy nominations, awards, frankly, tend to be political, because I've had been on other recordings that should have won Grammy hands down, and sometimes didn't even get nominated. But it's always good, looks good, you know. Um, the Hall of Fame from the Blues Foundation in Memphis was a huge award. To think that now I had a display uh, with in the same um, in the same institution as Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and BB King is mind blowing. Something I never really expected or really hoped for. But my one of my biggest honors to me was appearing on an album which is now a classic called Harp Attack. And Harp Attack was there was all harmonica players featured. So it was Junior Wells, Carrie Bell, and James Cotton. Bruce
Mm.
Aguilar, the owner and producer of Alligator Records, when he had assembled the three of them, he told them, he said, we need a fourth harmonica player. He's told me on numerous occasions that they unanimously said, get Billy. And these are the guys that blown me off the stage for decades.
They said,
So the
it's
fact
Billy.
that,
Mm.
yeah, that they deemed me worthy to be on this very important recording was one of my highest honors.
Got it. Did you ever work with Lou Rawls? I know that you're doing one of his songs. Did you work with him here in Chicago?
No, but I recorded on 2 tracks on his Shades of Blue album,
Oh,
but I've never worked with him.
got it. Got
Yeah,
it.
per se, other than that.
Right. Got it.
Mhm.
Got it. Okay. Here we go. We're almost done. Here's
Okay.
another tough question for you. How would you how would you like to be remembered years from now? How would you like the world to remember Billy Branch?
Well, I've been asked that several times, and I think I would like to be remembered as someone who uh, became a part of what I perceive as the greatest music ever and wanted to share it with the entire world.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to your performance coming up now next week. Tell us again the name, I mean the date, showtime, the place, and the band that you're playing with. Tell us
Okay.
all that again. Yes.
Well, June 5th, we
Yep.
will have the kickoff for the Chicago Blues Festival at the Romova Theater in the city of Chicago, 35th and Halsted. We will share the bill and be opening up for the legendary Bobby Rush. It will feature my band, Billy Branch and the Sons of Blues, along with Bill McFarland and the Chicago Fire Horns. And we have May Cohen, Teresa Davis, and Diane Madison as background singers. And of course, the wonderful youth from the West Side uh, out of Garfield Park under the direction of Howard Sandifer.
Got it. Got it. All right. Anything else that you want to share? Anything on
Uh,
your mind today?
I think we're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I said a mouthful.
Okay. Well, you were very good. You were very good. So I thank you for your time.
All
But,
right, my
but
pleasure.
listen, before we close, I got to do a quick little shout out to Howard Sandifer and his wife, Darlene Sandifer. They are the founders of the Chicago West they are the founders of Chicago West Community Music Center, and this video podcast was their idea. They said,
All
let's
right.
have lively conversations with newsmakers. So here we are today. So thank you to them, to my viewers. Continue to watch, continue to click and subscribe. We must get our numbers up. Please do that. And that is all. See you next
All
week.
right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, indeed.